When you think mathematician, you probably think of a reclusive, beautiful mind type. Jim Simons is not your ordinary mathematician. In 1982, starting a firm dedicated to building fortunes, not from fundamentals, but from formulas.
I started alone, but I soon realized that some of these things could be modeled. I knew in the long run one should make models, and this guesswork was, it might work for a while, but it was very stomach churning. And I hired mathematicians and physicists and computer scientists because they were good thinkers about building models. So gradually, it took 10 years, from 1978 to 1988, before we completely transitioned. By 1988, it was 100% models.
Il faut voir que les choses qu'a développé Jim s'appuient vraiment fondamentalement sur des modèles mathématiques. Et c'est vraiment que ça tout le temps. Il n'est jamais au doigt mouillé ou à l'analyse économique qualitative. Il est toujours sur des modèles mathématiques.
The concept of a rigid adherence to a mathematical model with respect to investing, that concept was I hadn't heard of it before, but so in that sense, perhaps I invented it. At least I invented it for myself. It doesn't sound so original, after all. You have a model, but the goal is you do not deviate from that model. You don't say, I'll use the model for guidance, but then I'll let common sense or whatever override the model when I think the model is making a mistake or something like that. That turns out to be wrong. If the model is good, you must use it all the time. And because if you don't, you could never test models in the first place. How can I test a model which in the past, which I say, okay, I'm going to see how well this model did, but of course, I'll be periodically coming in and advising it and telling it something. You can't do that experiment. So if you're going to be serious about the subject, you have to treat these models as absolute. That's what you do. And so that kind of discipline we enforced in the company, and I think it was good.
Ah, effectivement, il a essayé de développer un certain nombre d'approches de différents marchés, puisqu'il s'est positionné sur des marchés différents, des méthodes d'intervention, et en changeant d'ailleurs la façon dont les marchés fonctionnaient après, parce que d'autres ont essayé de copier. Toutes les fois, c'était fondé sur l'analyse des données antérieures, l'anticipation sur un modèle mathématique d'où va le marché. Voilà, et on peut constater que quand même les succès ont été extraordinaires, et qu'en particulier la période totalement chaotique de la crise, il s'en est sorti de façon fantastique.
Well, it was based on good models. I mean, just because you have a model doesn't mean it's going to work. Our secret to success was in hiring excellent people, very high quality people. And so I think that more than anything else, and giving them an open atmosphere in which to work, lots of collaborative efforts, no secrets inside. Nobody had some secret method that he didn't want to share with anybody else. Everything was shared. And it was a very good formula. It was a very good formula for success. Building models is experimental, because there you get an idea and you test it out on the computer. You say, oh, well, you see, if such and such is happening, then that should mean that the euro will go up. Well, you have to study thousands of examples of that. You might be right or you might be wrong, but the computer and good statistical analyses will tell you whether that particular idea is a good one or not a good one. So that really is more science than it is mathematics. You use mathematical methods, statistics, etc., but It's really sort of doing science. The real world is not a precise place. And if you want to model the real world, it's statistical. And in the markets, finance, the error bars are big. There's a lot of uncertainty. So what one wants is a statistical edge, a little statistical edge, and that can be enough to make a profit.
Une des choses qui était toujours sa hantise, c'était être dépendant du marché. Donc comment est-ce qu'on se rend indépendant du marché? Tout simplement en faisant des interventions massives pendant des temps très courts. Donc le niveau réel du marché compte pas, ce qui compte c'est la fluctuation du marché. Donc comment fait-on pour profiter des fluctuations du marché dans une fenêtre très courte qui fait que le marché soit bas ou haut, de toute façon il y a de l'argent à gagner. Donc c'est ça sur lequel il s'est vraiment positionné de façon, enfin pas unique, mais quand même massive.
Well, you collect a lot of data. You look at history. You can test out your ideas. There may be some modeling of psychology. There may be... We look at anything that could help predict the future. That's the real goal, is to predict the future. Mostly, it's looking at phenomena like I just described, or more sophisticated phenomena. The history of prices, the history of volatility, whatever it might be, to draw conclusions. In the end, markets are human psychology. It's human beings who drive markets. It's not a scientific phenomena. You don't find, markets happening out in space. It's a social science. It's not a physical science. And I suppose if we could get more deeply into people's psyches, we could make better models.